Alright, well, let's see what's on the Zelda Engine news page today. Oh wow, Zelda 3DS announcement. Oh, this is gonna be great. Okay, let's see. Alright. Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaEngine.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. And, given the new announcement, just today, actually, of the new Zelda 3DS, or A Link to the Past 2, or whatever you want to call it at this point, this mailbag is, at least half of it, is going to be about questions purely about the game. But we're going to start out with the usual, viewer opinion questions that don't have anything to do with it. I don't know how intuitive that is, but that's how we're going to do it. So here we go. Alright, Leon Othenin Gerard, I have no idea how I'm pronouncing this right, so just bear with me, asks, what is your favorite part of Hyrule Historia and why? Well, I liked a lot of things about the book. I thought it was very cool in general. I liked a lot of the lore, a lot of the new information, whatever. I liked, well, mixed feelings on the timeline, but it was cool to see the whole timeline. That was neat. But I think my favorite part was definitely the all the concept artwork, not just for Skyward Sword and not just for the other games, just all the artwork in general. I thought it was cool seeing all the concept artwork, all the design processes that went into the game, and some of the characters and ideas that never even made it into the game. There's some of the island concepts for the Wind Waker I really liked. Some of the monster designs for the Wind Waker. And a lot of the characters who didn't make it in Skyward Sword, just a lot of things like that. I really enjoyed seeing all these characters. It was very inspirational. I really like a lot of the designs that they never used, and some of them I wish made in the game, others I can understand why they didn't, and I thought it was a very cool part. Sure, tell me what your guys' favorite part of Hyrule Historia was in the comments, though. Halliday asks, how did you come across your first Zelda game, and what was it? Well, I did sort of tell the story a little bit last mailbag, so I'll make this brief, and I also want you guys to tell me what yours was. But my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time, and I basically had no knowledge or interest of the Zelda series until basically when I was like a little kid. My brother came and just showed me Ocarina of Time, and I played it for the first time. I played it up through the Deku Tree, and I sucked at games, so of course he had to actually help me through it because I was an idiot. But anyway, so I got through the Deku Tree dungeon, and I got all the way up to Dodongo's Cavern, though I never completed it. So that was my introduction to the Zelda series. I didn't actually play the rest of Ocarina of Time for quite a while later, so that was, I guess, an odd introduction to the series. But again, tell me what your guys' introduction was, and what your first game was. Alright, on to A Link to the Past 2 here. Dean the Kid asks, what's your opinion on the new A Link to the Past on the 3DS, and do you prefer it over a Majora's Mask remake? Well, I'm not a fan of remakes in general, and I haven't been a proponent of Majora's Mask 3D or whatever. So yeah, I definitely like it better than that because it's a new game. It's not a remake, and even if it were, I wanted a Link to the Past remake over Majora's Mask 1 anyway. I did a whole video on that, so yeah, I definitely prefer it, especially because it is a new game. I'm like, A Link to the Past was like the first Zelda game I really beat, arguably, or at least got very far in, it was also, I still think it's, like, one of the best-made games of the series, possibly the series' very best game, even if it's not my personal favorite, and it doesn't have as wide an appeal as a game like Ocarina of Time. I definitely think it's one of its best games, and I think that, having them, make a game based on it, again, is actually really interesting, and it's kind of hopeful for me, because, honestly, I wasn't expecting them to bring back the 2D style so soon. I've talked about this recently. I hope that they do 2D games, but I don't think they're gonna. Well, it shows what I know, apparently, because they're definitely doing, I mean, it's 3D graphics, but it's the 2D gameplay style, very much so. So, I just think it's very exciting seeing that gameplay style again, because I'm a big fan of it. I'm a classic Zelda fan, more or less, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Jordan asks, what are your thoughts about the drawing mechanic in Zelda 3DS, where you turn into a drawing? Well, I actually don't have any strong feelings about this either way, really. I think it looks like it could be an interesting mechanic. I think it would be interesting. I'm going to have to see what they do with it. I mean, like, you see it a little bit in the trailer, and it's a neat visual effect, but it's not that crazy. But I imagine they could do some very interesting stuff with it and puzzles in the game, and I hope they do. I kind of am a little disappointed on one level because I think that it could be, it was like, it could have been something really awesome where they actually made it like these 2D gameplay sections, sort of like Adventure of Link, and it was literally like the game was A Link to the Past plus Adventure of Link. That would have been really interesting, but, you know, that's just kind of a wishful thinking thing, and they're making it based on A Link to the Past, so there's not really any reason necessarily why they would have done that. So I think it looks interesting. We'll just have to see how they use it in the game itself. I think it's a neat mechanic. I'm a little bitter because a lot of people ask me questions of, would you like a Paper Zelda, like Paper Mario, and I'm like, that's just such a dumb idea. And they're sort of a little bit doing that now, so I give up. Jordan, again, I'm sorry, I usually don't do 2 questions about the same person, but I really wanted to talk a lot about Ocarina, or, what the hell? A Link to the Past 2, this mailbag. So Jordan, again, asks, what are your thoughts on how Zelda 3DS correlates to A Link to the Past? For example, it's 1-1 matching overworld. Well, yeah, all the overworld sections we've seen do match areas in A Link to the Past, but I don't know what that means necessarily. We haven't exactly seen a lot of overworld. Honestly, I think, well, obviously we're going to see some familiar locations, but I don't necessarily think that this idea that's been floating around that it's just going to be Ocarina, I said Ocarina of Time again, what is going on with me tonight? A Link to the Past overworld, I don't necessarily see why people think that. I mean, that just sounds like such a weird assumption to make, and I don't see why they would do that in the first place. Arguably some of what they said, that they're going to have a Link to the Past world, but they're going to have new dungeons, kind of sounds like that, but honestly, I just took that to mean that they're going to use that version of Hyrule with some of the same landmarks and the same general time period. That's how I took that. I don't necessarily think, I mean, obviously there's going to be familiar locations, and we've seen a few of those, but I don't think that the whole world's going to be old, necessarily. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see a lot of reason to think that. Vati101 asks, do you think that the green meter in Zelda 3D is a stamina meter or a magic meter? Well, it definitely seems to function like a magic meter in that it seems like only your items and powers consume it, but it also seems like it's a stamina meter because it regenerates. So it sort of looks like a combination of the 2 concepts, and I'm very interested in it. It looks like it could be a lot of fun, and I appreciate that it at least looks like the classic magic meter. There's not a lot else to say about it, you know. It just looks like it's a good way to not necessarily, I guess it doesn't really look like it will add resource management like the magic meter did, but at the very least it will add some timing management. You'll want to be a little careful about what items you use, how much in given situations, and I think that could be really cool and add a lot to the gameplay. I like the stamina meter in Skyward Sword, and we'll see how this one works. Aerolissa asks, where do you think or hope Zelda 3DS will fall in the Zelda timeline? Well, probably it's going to just take place after A Link to the Past. Maybe before, but I don't know. I sort of really incredibly, completely doubt that. I would say that I think it would be very interesting if A Link to the Past 2 or whatever actually takes place, you know, after A Link to the Past, but a while after. Like, after Link's Awakening. Like, you know, the same Link goes, in A Link to the Past, goes to Holodrum and Labrynna to do the Oracle games, and then he also voyages away somewhere, and on his voyage home, he crashes into Koholint and gets trapped in the, you know, dream or whatever. So I think it'd be really interesting to see if this game is after he came home, or made it home, unless he just drowned or something, you know, that's always a possibility. I think it'd be really interesting to see if that's when the game takes place. I think that'd be really cool. Juicy J asks, what do you think about the clay-like art style for Zelda 3DS? I don't think it's a clay-like art style. I think it's just a very relatively simplistic 3D models. So I don't know what to answer there. I like the graphics. I mean, I think they're a little dull. Maybe they could have been a little flashier, have a little more flair. But that's also something that you could say about the original Link to the Past anyway. So I don't know what that proves necessarily. I think they could have added a little more to it, but I think it looks pretty nice. I have no major complaints about it. Ron is completely straight. I'll take your word for it. Asks, does Nintendo remaking the Wind Waker confirm that on A Link to the Past or Majora's Mask remake is out of the question? No, honestly, it probably indicates that they're more likely to make remakes down the line. That's kind of one of my complaints about the idea of them doing remakes, because that will just mean they'll do more remakes. However, I would say that there's a good chance that we won't see another remake for a little while. I think that's definitely a good possibility. So, maybe somewhere down the line, probably indicates that there will be more of a precedent for, you know, remakes in the future, but I kind of doubt that it will be anytime soon, given the new Zelda games coming out, but also the fact that they're already doing a remake, so, yeah. Griffion asks, in the January Nintendo Direct, Aonuma seemed to mention making a way for more than one person to play Zelda Wii U. What would you think of an online multiplayer for Zelda, like a team deathmatch where you can fight other people with your sword and use items, like using the hookshot to drag players toward you, etc., or using separate dungeons for players to work through together? Well, we have no idea what they're going to do with this whole multiplayer function thing that they've been talking about. However, I'm not inclined to think it's going to be something really traditional like a deathmatch, competitive thing. Honestly, I think it would probably end up being something more like Four Swords in that way, where you could compete but while working together, sort of. Especially since Nintendo has like such a major, thing for that lately. But at the same time, I also think that, I also think about things like Portal 2, where you have a whole separate campaign that's done cooperatively. So, we'll just have to see what they do, but I don't think it's going to be a deathmatch thing. That doesn't sound likely to me. Bradley Crowling asks, if you had the option to go to Hyrule, but it meant you could never return to Earth and you had to forever live in Hyrule, with the monsters and everything, which world would you choose? I like the world where I don't have to worry about getting stabbed, or sucked into a dark world, or turn into a shadow beast, or all the various serious threats to your life and sanity that happen in the Zelda universe. So I'm gonna go with this one. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact information in the description, and I'll see you guys later.